Hey, you guys. Season ladder, yeah. I think I just gotta not be playing much tonight. Probably not at all. Um, Spending some time coding my bot, so just want to see how things go if I actually do so on a stream. I hope my audio's okay. I never checked it. No one's complaining. Recording. Line 1. Listen. Test. Okay, good. Yeah, we're going to code this stream. We have a Zerg opponent coming up the next round of the tournament, so I wanted to work on some code versus Zerg. I got a match loaded here from previous game we played. You can tell by the mini map. I started way behind and playing catch up, but this is what I want to try to affect here. These fungals. Yeah, so that's going to be the goal for the stream, to try to make this fungal dodging better, or make it exist. So, unlike with other spells, like if you cast, say, a Ravager Bile right here, I get that information through the API. The API for my bot tells me, hey, there's going to be a Ravager. There's a Ravager Bile targeted on this location, and I know that location, so I can just move all my units away from that location, wait for the bile to land, and then go back to normal stuff. But projectiles, we don't get any information for in the API. So the fact that he launched this, my bot can't see it. Once it hits my units, I can tell that units are fungaled. But if I want to dodge, I need to know beforehand. So what I was thinking, I would attempt, is I keep track of his infestors. And I track the energy on them. And whenever I see an infestor drop by however much fungal costs, I don't even know. Why is there no fungal spell here? Oh, because he just burrowed. He's in the process of burrowing. Yeah. So as soon as this infestor drops by 75 energy, I'm going to take a look at it, see what direction it's facing. Like it's facing this direction. Try to guess which unit he's going to target, or where he's targeting with a fungal, and then just dodge that position. So at the moment he fires this, we're going to try to calculate, like just based on the position he's facing, and based on his, like, look at his energy to find out if he fired it. Look at the direction he's facing, move whatever range a neural parasite has, and mark that location, and then try to dodge that location. So that's going to be the plan. So it's going to be a very non-visual stream, I guess. I'd expect my viewership will probably be under 20 for this, but whatever. It's this or no stream at all. So yeah, so we can bring up, what would be a good window for this? I'm going to do this. So that's going to be too small. What if I Control plus? Is that no? How do I increase font size? Or I got an idea. Okay, let's create, add a window capture. IntelliJ. Yeah. Where do I put my webcam where it's not in the way? Whatever. Let's see how this goes. So I guess the one good thing is I'll finally have it'll be relaxing enough stream that I can finally read chat. Yeah, I mean it's a cool community. There's we got our own bot ladder. There's over 50 bots on it. We have a tournament going on right now, being produced pretty professionally by ES Champ. It's the first time my bot got to participate. We went 2-0 in our best of 3 last week, so we advanced to the next round, which is pretty cool. Okay, so let's create a new class to track the infestors. So, okay, now that I'm actually doing this, I'm thinking this is actually code I could reuse for dodging EMPs, because EMP is a projectile in an area of effect spell. Parasitic bomb, I mean, it's pretty easy to split away once it lands, but I guess you could dodge it early. We can always change it later. For now, let's just track the infestors. So, what are we going to need? We're going to have to track maybe like last. We're going to need the last seen game frame. Yeah, game frame. Sounds good. Or do we even care? Right? If we lose track of the infestor, then we see it again, its energy will jump higher than when we last knew. Like say it goes into the fog of war and it comes back, and then we look at it, and it instantly went from 50 energy to 150 energy. But that's fine. That's not going to break our fungal growth code, because that only tracks when it drops. So actually, we don't need to care when we last saw it. So we don't need that. We will need its current energy. Int energy. We're going to need to know oh man, why am I doing this late at night? My brain's not even functioning. We need to know the directions facing. In fact, some of this information is built into the unit object. So there's this unit object we can keep for, it's called Infestor, I guess. And within that unit object, it'll have the energy and the direction it's facing. Yeah, so I guess I'll kind of overload this class too, and also can have it hold the list of infestors, because we're going to have to keep an entire list of all the infestors and track them. So we'll just call that infestor list. Give me a list of okay, my brain's not working, so let me just write down some stuff here. How's this going to work? So we need to maintain a list of all enemy infestors. Then each game frame we need to check if any infestor is minus 75 energy from previous frame. Okay, it's coming back to me now. So we need to keep track of its previous energy. It was in the previous frame before it cast. That's why I had that up there. Yeah, so we need to also keep track of previous energy. So we check if an infestor is minus 75 energy from the previous frame. If so, get its facing direction. Get point we're going to assume he's probably always casting from maximum range. That seems likely, although it's not necessarily the case. So I may have to make this more complicated later, but for now we'll just look at max range. So what is the max range of Infestor? What is the game frame rate? You get 22.4 frames per second. So basically 22 times a second, we get to give a command to every single unit on the screen. There's only one bot that does that. There's issues with making your bot play every single game frame. My bot plays every other game frame. Most bot plays every fourth or every sixth game frame. But that's still multiple times per second you can give every unit a command, which means the APMs are very commonly up in the tens of thousands. Performance is an issue, but only with really demanding stuff. Like basically every frame I'm just doing one loop through an infestor list and checking the energy. The other thing I'll need to do is some sort of way to maintain the list, to add new infestors to the list that aren't already there. All right, so where are we at here? So get the directions facing and then move X range from the infestor. That's how I was looking at the chat. See if anyone knows infestor range off the top of their heads. I think it's one more than what Seeker Missile was, but so long since I've had Seeker Missile, I don't even remember. So let's look up the infestor here. Fungal growth range 10. And then when we do determine that it's cast a fungal, I guess I would put on here. Avoid that points. And I got different ways of doing that, but we'll give it a shot. Okay. Okay, I'm going to put this on the side just so I don't forget. Maybe we'll take some breaks and watch some games or something, but let's see how well I can do this. It's actually hard to think and stream. I didn't think this would be an issue for me. Okay, so our infestor object will contain an infestor unit, which has the current energy and the current facing, and then we're going to keep track of the previous frame's energy. Okay, so we're going to update previous energy. So let's just create a method and see what happens here. So we're going to have a static method for on step. So this is what's called every game frame. So we need to update previous energy. And then we need to, I guess at the same time we can check if energy is 75 less than previous frame. We probably don't want to use 75 exactly, just in case it also regenerated energy during that one game frame. So, I don't know. 70 just to cover their bases. You should set science and technology as a game. Okay, I can do that. I can update. I didn't know if there was something for that, but I figured since we're coding SC2, it might be somewhat related. But we can change the game to oh, there's no list of categories in this app. Okay. I'll have to we'll load our SC2 Twitch stream. I'll do it from there. Or load our Twitch stream and then probably in the dashboard. Man, I haven't been on the dashboard for my stream through Twitch for a long time. Oh, it looks different now too. It's kind of pretty cool. Which one am I using? I forgot what frame I'm on. Yeah. Edit stream info. Oh, that's a nice layout now. It's nice. Hopefully it's not going to display my password or something here. Category. Science and technology. Neat, neat. Choice of beer, we got Moosehead this time. It's kind of like a mainstream Canadian beer. All right, so we need to do two things on this investor list. So let's just do a regular loop, I guess. So for each unit in pool, infestor, oh, that's going to get, probably should have this in a different class. Oh well. Let's say I, inf. Can't get too many things called infestor here. So for each infestor in the infestor list, we want to, okay. Or maybe I don't need unit in pool. No, I probably do. So get energy. So that's the energy. So what do we want to do with this? So we'll have, no, what am I doing? Infestor list will be a list of infestors. This is why we're making the infestor class. I'm just confusing myself here. This will be unit and pool. Okay. So we want to check if infestor.previous energy we want to compare it to the current energy. Now what do we want to do? So it could be 74 or 75 last, right? So if the previous energy minus the current energy equals 74 or 75. All right, so if it was at 125 energy and now it's at 50 energy, then we say, okay, if 125 minus 50 equals 74, 75, then fungal was cast. Yeah. I guess the other issue is, do they have another spell that costs 75? Because if they have two spells that cost 75, then this whole idea is out the window. Go back to Infestor Wikipedia. Because they have that new spell that no one uses. Oh my god. Microbial Shroud costs 75 as well. But if we try to dodge a fungal when he casts Microbial Shroud, I don't think that's the end of the world. You know, it'll just make all my units like split for a moment. And frankly, I don't think anyone's going to be using Microbial Shroud. If it drops by 75 energy, they're almost certainly using fungal growth. Yeah, unfortunately we cannot see projectiles. There's some limitations to the API. I can see if one of my units is fungaled. So after the fungal already hits, then I have that information. And that's useful for things like parasitic bomb, right? So if I see parasitic bomb on one of my units, I can immediately peel off that unit. So that's awesome. Things like Psystorm, you don't get to any advance warning anyways because there's no projectile. So you only see it when it lands, and that's all a human player gets as well. But Fungal, there is like a second where it launches, and you have a little bit of time to split. And with a bot, you can split pretty quickly, a lot faster than a human can. Yeah, so we're not going to worry about Microbial Shroud. We'll just assume the 75 means Fungal. In fact, I think our bots are still playing on a slightly older version of SC2, where Microbial Shroud may not even exist. I'm not sure. It might still be with Infested Terrans. Depends on the tournament. This is probably an optional, right? Yeah, so we need that. All right, so I need to do something here when Fungal is cast. And then once we do that thing, we'll need to set the previous energy equal to the current energy. So previous energy, so next frame previous energy will have the right information. Why is that underlined? Float. Okay. Energy has decimals. I didn't know that because we don't see the decimal places in SC2. So we can't strictly look at 45 or 40. Okay, so we just want to see if the difference is yeah, so it's not going to be an even number like 74 or 75. So if we subtract them and it's greater than, give us some extra wiggle room here, 73 and less than 75. Yeah, so if the previous energy is 73 to 75 bigger than the previous frame, okay, that works. And this is a float, so we can just, yeah, I guess we'll keep it as a float. Let's change previous energy to a float as well. Yeah, I guess behind the scenes energy is a decimal, which I guess kind of makes sense, right? Because you know when you hit a Zerg unit, and the moment it takes damage, it instantly regenerates 1 hit point. Even though we know it doesn't regenerate 1 hit point that quickly. It's probably because it just immediately goes from like 200 hit points to like 200.01 or something like that. And I guess SC2 rounds up every number to the nearest whole number. Okay. So now I guess we'll just have like a dodge fungal method. And the first thing we'll need is to calculate the position where we think that fungal is going to land. So, what do we call this variable? Fungal position, I guess. And we'll create a method for this too to calculate this. Fungal position. So I'll have a function called calc fungal position, and that returns a point. Okay, so let's pass in the infestor that we're looking at. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to figure this out. So when we find an infestor that dropped by 75 energy, we're going to call the dodge fungal method, and we'll pass along that infestor unit. Okay. So the infestor's cast fungal, we need to guess where it's going to be. So we can start by getting the infestor position. So the infestor position is infestor.get position.2.2d. And then there's also some sort of method for getting the direction it's facing, which returns a float. Okay, what does that float even mean? A float is basically a number that has decimals. Okay, there's no documentation in this API. So this is interesting. Let's look at the Java doc for that API. So get facing. Nothing. No documentation at all. This is my life trying to program in Java with an API that has no documentation. All right. Plan B. We're going to look at the API for the C++ version, because that is more or less similar to the Java version and has more documentation. So do they have something for facing? Let's look at their unit class in C++. Facing. Okay, and that's a float as well. Direction the unit faces in radians. Python, if you want to code a bot in SC2, Python is a million times better. A million times. I did not know the difference in the APIs, but the Python one is not only as well, much more documented, but there's tons of sample bot code you can look at. There's tons of bot authors you can ask questions of, because like 90% of the bot authors are doing it in Python. There's frameworks that are built that does all the heavy lifting for you, so you can just, code strategies instead of having to reinvent the wheel like I've had to do. But I guess my ultimate goal was to relearn Java when I did this project. So, but man, I still wish I would have picked the Python one. I see other developers starting in Python. They can just like immediately jump into having this bot that works well and has multiple strategies and stuff. I'm like, oh, I'm here like trying to figure out how to place a supply depot and think of like the 500 scenarios of how placing a supply depot could go wrong. Does anyone know anything about radians? Is anyone I know I learned this at one time in math. I hope it's relative to something, because okay, say it returned facing return 1, which is 57 degrees, but 57 degrees from what? Okay, Google, what is a radian? Math is fun. Okay, so far Google's lying to me. I'm already annoyed by this website. Oh, it's all videos. I don't want to look. I just want to read. The angle made when the radius is wrapped around the circle. Oh. That's an odd measurement. It must have some special usage in mathematics to make things easier. Who would think to take the radius, wrap it around the circumference of the circle, and say, how much is that in degrees? There's got to be some practical reasons for doing that. Okay. The one thing I know is that no bot author has tried to do what I'm doing. So there's also a chance that there's things in the API that just don't work. So this might be one of those things. So I guess we'll find out. This could be a big waste of time. Okay, so we get its direction, its facing in radians. Now where the 0 point is, I don't know. Like maybe that's like due north. Okay, we'll set this to a variable. Float direction. So we got position, we got direction, and our distance will equal 11. No, 10, right? 10 for fungal growth. And then we need to find destination
target
points.
Acquired.
Yeah, so what methods are available to this point2D object anyways? Not much. Looks like I can add it to other points and divide and subtract. I can get the XY coordinate. Let's just make a little note here. Check assumption that the 0 rad equals north. All right, there's got to be some younger people who still remember math, who are still taking math. Okay, so I got a point with an X and Y coordinate. I got a direction. I can convert that to degrees if I need to. All right, it's time for MS Paint. And maybe if I visualize it, I can remember how to do this. Okay, so I got an XY. You know, I can start from scratch here. Okay. So I got an XY coordinate. Right, and then that's the due north, so that's 0 rads. And then I'm going to get some sort of direction. And then this direction here, this will be our some sort of angle. And then we know this distance. And then we need to find this point here. So it just be like Pythagorean theorem, right? No, it would be one of those trigonometry, like sine cosine thing. I guess doing it from but it may not, the angle might be way, it might be like out here somewhere. It might be a gigantic angle. Or the triangle will be the other direction. But you can do like sine and cosine for like 270 degrees, if I recall correctly. So, okay, it's coming back to me. Sakatoa, right? Sa ka toa? Is that right? So sine is opposite over hypotenuse, adjacent over hypotenuse. Oh my goodness.
Target acquired.
Please tell me there's someone who knows this stuff in chat. I got a point, I got a direction, which is an angle from north, and then I got a distance. What am I trying to find? So I know this point, some point. I know some direction, which is an angle from north. So I know this angle here. Oh, I remember this little symbol, theta. And I know the distance I need to move away from this point. Wait a minute. I think I wrote code for this at one point back in the day on the spot. Okay, we may not have to remember any of this. I might already have something for it. What do I got in this position class? Rotate. What does this do? Rotate an origin point over a pivot by a certain angle. Okay, that can work. So I can just go the distance up this direction, so I can make this the origin. Make this the pivot. And that would be the angle. Okay. Now, yeah. I think that'll work. Then we gotta convert that rads into an angle. Oh my gosh, I totally don't remember this. I was actually using sine and cosine stuff. Huh, interesting. Okay, so that was a static method, right? Rotate. So the pivot point was the infestor position. Oh my gosh. And then the rads was, what the hell is that again? Each rad times 50 whatever. Okay. Let's create a new method in here. Public static float get degrees from rads. Takes in rad and it returns rad times boom. Nope. Float. Okay. Have all the units in the same direction out to a certain point scatter. Yeah, I was thinking that. That would be the more difficult solution, but it might be what we'll have to do. That would be like so right now the way I'm doing it is I'm going to say if this is the infestor. I'm going to calculate a certain distance out. You know, assume this is going to be the blast zone here. And then have units scatter from here, you know, run away. What you're saying, which is the better method, it's more difficult, is since we don't know how far it's shooting it, we can just have any unit scatter away from this line. Rather than scattering away from a point, scatter away from a line. And then to make it even better, since we know the max range, we can even have like an endpoint on the line that it runs away from. We may have to do this, but I'm going to assume that almost the vast majority of the time it shoots a fungal, it's going to be shooting at max range. It's only if I'm flying over the infestors for some weird reason that I would need a smaller range, I think. Yeah, so I kind of need that previous one. Please tell me I have enough undo, string it back. There we go. So the origin is going to be the same as the infestor position, but the y coordinates, you have to add the distance, and that'll give us this. So basically we have an origin, we have a pivot point, so it's going to pivot around, it's going to take that origin and pivot around the pivot point by a certain amount of degrees. I can already see an issue with this though. We'll come to that when we get there. So we're going to need a point 2D pivot points, and that's going to equal a new point. And the x coordinates will be the infestor position dot same x coordinates as infestor, and the y coordinates will be the infestor position, the y coordinates plus the distance. Now the issue I have is, what if this is off the screen? If this is off the screen, this whole thing's going to break. Again, it's a scenario that will very rarely come up. I guess I can just air handle for it until I come up with a better way. I guess I could do it so it pivots first and then adds the distance. That would probably be a better way of doing it, but I don't want to rewrite that code because it involves trigonometry I don't understand anymore. Okay, so I'm already losing track of what I'm doing here. Okay, so we got a pivot point now. No, so this is called the origin, I think. Or however I labeled it in that method. The origin, yeah, we're pivoting over the infestor position. Okay, and that will return a point. And that point will be where we think the fungal is. In fact, we can just return that point. This is all assuming this 0 rads means north. Hopefully it does. Okay, so let's backtrack a little bit. So we found the infestor that casted fungal. We call the function to dodge that fungal. And the first thing we do in that function is calculate where we think the fungal is going to land. Okay, so we did that. So now we know where the fungal is going to land. Okay, I'm trying to think of the way my units are microing in the background. Because they're already going to have a command. So I think what we need to do is actually kind of create a unit at that fungal position. Kind of like an effect. And I'm gonna put it to my threat map, and then that's going to be somewhere in my threat map to try to run away from. Oh, I did that a long time ago too. So this is going to be in part of my messy code area. So I can kind of show you what I'm talking about here. Let's turn the debug on. It is on, okay. Base list, yeah. So it's a map. So let's see the threat to air. Where's my threat to air map? already there. We have an error here. Versus Zerg, that's fine. Let's go into SU2. And I guess I'll just let it run in the background. It's going to take a moment for it to get to that point. So we need to kind of like this is the way I did it for Ravager Biles. I kind of created a fake enemy saying, hey, there's an enemy at this position and it has a range of, you know, the same range as a bile. And you really want to avoid that. So he tries to dodge the range that. So let's find that code again. Right, so I need to add it to this enemy mapping list. So I think as long as I call it before I create the map, I can just add it in my infestor code. So add to enemy mapping list. Okay. Game cache dot enemy mapping list dot add new enemy unit. I mean, this is so unique. We're not adding an actual unit. We're like kind of creating a dummy one. So it's not an effect. It's not a... I'll have to create another constructor, I guess. Okay, let's make a very specific constructor. Whatever. We'll make this better another time. So we'll need to pass in the position. Anything else? I don't think so. Okay, and then we just need to set some of these fields. X equals position dot get x, y equals position get y, supply can say 0. It doesn't matter. It's not a detector. Oh, yes, we will say it's a detector. Because otherwise my banshees won't try to dodge it. Because in a way, Fungal does detect. You know, it'll hit cloaked units. Can't remember what we use this for, but we'll set equal to true. Probably so I don't try to target it. Is army... So we'll give it a range of 10 across the board. Give it a big threat level. Because I want to, no matter what scenario, I want to dodge it. And it's max range. What is max range? Oh. Yeah, I don't care about that. Should add this to it. I'll give it a little, add a little buffer to the end of these ranges too, just so they don't get too close. Okay. So we're adding a new enemy unit, and we're going to pass in the position and some pointless Boolean, just so I can see what the constructor's for. Okay, so let's make this full screen. Why isn't this working? So these numbers here, this is kind of like my threat map. So it kind of finds a threat based on the enemies I see. And right now these numbers are showing like what sort of threat they have to air units. So I kind of just want to add that another unit to that threat map. So every single unit influences that threat map, and then I want to add the fungal to that as well. And then I think the built-in dodging I've already built for my units will be able to handle that. Yeah, so the threat is bigger here because there's corruptors and mutas. Yeah, so I think we call this on step somewhere before we create the map. I gotta remember what it looks like in this big jumble of code. Yeah, my games from last week were awesome. I figured out the stuff my opponent bot likes to say in chat, and then I created responses for it. So I started like talking back to my opponent from last week. And how the caster's laughing pretty good. They can load up those games and play it on stream. After I didn't want to get this done, try it, realize it's not working, and then take a break and watch the last week's game. Okay, so we need to scroll way down. This is kind of where I loop through everything and set up a whole system of cache for each game frame, which is a lot of overhead, but once you have it, it makes everything else a lot easier. Okay, so when we call map the map, guess build the map would have been a better title. Let's rename this. That's a horrible name. Build influence map. All right, so when are we adding to this? Okay, so as we're looping through, oh yeah, my own parasitic units I consider an enemy as well. That makes sense. So unfortunately, I have to throw it in here somewhere, which is a really bad place to put it. But I need to redesign this, I guess, and get things in the right place. But for now, I'll have to put it here. So anywhere before this build influence map. So whatever. Check fungal mapping. And then we call infestor.onStep. There's another major thing we forgot. I have this infestor list, but I've never actually populated or maintained it. So I gotta... Every game frame, I'm also going to have to add new infestors. There might be another place I can do that, actually. There might be a hook for this every time a new unit shows up on the screen. There might be a method that gets called. Where am I looking for that? On unit image vision. I got rid of all the code I have here, so it must not work the way I expect it to. On unit destroyed, on unit created. I think that'd only be for my units. Okay, scratch that. We'll do it here. So every game frame, we gotta find any new infestor and add it to the list. We're gonna share it on Git. Yeah, I can do that. There are a lot of bots out there that are publicly shared. I don't like to do it during tournament season though, because I'd kind of... A lot of bot makers aren't trying to make the best bot. They're specifically trying to target other bots and just beat what other bots are good at. So I don't like to make my stuff too public. I'm also not too proud of this code. This is the first big project I've done in many years. So it started as a complete mess. And as I've gotten better at coding it, I haven't cleaned up the old mess. I'm just kind of adding on to it, which is making it worse. But I cleaned up a good portion of it. I did a big refactor about a month ago. Anyways, so we have the infestor list. I can also my utils class, I can get maybe unit of type. Infestor probably has two types. There's probably a burrowed type and an unburrowed type. Let me just add that to the top here. Infestor types, we create a list of there's Infestor, then there's Infestor burrowed. Infested Terran. Okay. Let's get enemy units of type. What does this return? Units in pool. No, this is not what I want. Because this includes the units I have cached. The ones that are in the Fog of War. I just want the visible units. Get visible enemy units of type. Anyone that takes in a list. Is that how I did it? I just looped through and added them together.
Acquired.
That doesn't seem like good code. Whatever. Do it once, we'll do it again. Types, and then we want to look in all visible enemies. Man, that's ugly code. At least pull it out into a variable. Come on, Ketroc. What do I call this? It's a list of enemy units. Whatever. Yeah, I'd highly suggest Python. But I mean, I think there's 8 different languages that are still supported. But if you want to get your butt up and running without a ton of headaches, Python's the way to go. Even if you don't know Python and you're really familiar with another language, it's probably easier to learn Python and then build your bots just because they have such good frameworks. The nice thing about reinventing the wheel with another language like I'm doing is maybe I'll come up with a method of doing something that's better than these frameworks. or at least different. So my bot might look a little different and function a little different. Yeah, I think my brain's not working here.
Target acquired.
All right, so it creates a result list. I loop through the unit types for each unit type. I grab them all out of that unit's visible enemies map and add it to the list, and then I return the list. Okay, that seems fine. Okay, so this returns a list of units. I forgot what I'm even doing. So this is visible infestors. These are infestors that are currently on the screen right now. And then I have this list of the infestors that I've already considered. So I need to see if any of the infestors in this list do not exist in that list. That seems like a not very good performance thing to do. I guess visible infestors, that's never going to be a giant list, right? What's at most will be 10. And this will at most be like 20. Yeah, this will still be super fast. Computers are really fast, but when every game frame only lasts like a 20th of a second, some performance stuff you really got to pay attention to. Yeah, so what are we doing here? So we're going to look at this visible infestors, and we want to filter out any infestor that's contained within the infestor list. Oh man. Oh yeah. I think it's time for a break. This match I have in the background is actually pretty epic, it looks like. This is just against the... Why can't I click on the minimap? It's so weird. Definitely went late game. This is against the cheater insane AI. So the toughest AI that's built into the game. The one that has like extra resources and stuff. Yeah, let's take a look at the games from last week. Just because I need to rest my brain. So if you look up ES Champ on YouTube, this is the ProBots tournament that's starting. So it's the second half of the round of 16 this week. I might be casting it. I haven't heard from them, so I'm probably not. But also my bot is in it, so...
Like, it wants to go into the main. It just keeps refinding targets, and it doesn't.
Sounds like Ender Sword. So this was a...
Production, if you're ready, we're ready. Let's go ahead and dive into our next best...
Oh, that's a terrible zoom. Let's see if we get rid of this. There we go.
Of 3 here on ProBots. Take it away.
Start now.
This is a huge gap of silence. For next week, they're fixing this up. They're going to have some sort of music on this screen. And then they're going to have the in-game music turned on when they come in here. Because otherwise, it just kind of felt like this awkward gap.
Ketroc.
Sporting the Raven for my logo. This was the bot I was worried about. And he actually picked the strategies I die to the most.
Something.
Yeah, here's where I creative responses to what he says.
There you
That's
go.
almost like it was like scripted or something. That's hilarious.
I do love
Yeah,
that.
so let's mute them for a second. Yeah, so I was really worried about this Marine drop because I don't have any at-home defense. You know, I just block the Reaper from getting in. And that's usually, you know, with the bunker at the front and planetary at the front, that's all I had to worry about. Originally, I built the turret ring with my bots, but I realized no other bots are actually using like dropping things on the edge of the main base. Sometimes they would come in for like Oracle harass or Liberator harass. So I got rid of the turret ring and just built a couple turrets on mineral line instead. Yeah, but this bot does a Marine drop. And if he drops Marines in my base and he gets in there, I don't have any code to defend that. So here, just go wipe out my entire main base. But the main reason I think I always lost this spot was that I tried, since I go Banshee Viking, I tried to clear out his Raven with my Vikings, right? You know, if I can kill his Raven with my Vikings, then my Cloakland Banshees will do really well. But the thing is, Ravens are faster than Vikings, and he properly coded his Raven to always stay outside the range of my Vikings. So every time I tried to dive in and kill his Raven, he would just back up, and the Raven wouldn't die. And the result is, every time I dived in with my Vikings, I would just lose my Vikings to his Vikings and not even get the Raven. So it was never worth it. And then I would end up losing the air battle. And, you know, you lose the air battle in TBT, you're in a lot of trouble. But I did one really quick adjustment before this tournament match, and that quick adjustment allowed me to save my ass in this game. Originally, when he made his Marine drop bot, or Marine drop strategy, it would just fly it into the middle of your mineral line and then drop out the Marines. And that was fine because as he flew into the middle of my mineral line, he would just die to my missile turrets that I had in my mineral line. So I'm like, okay, that's easy. But he improved it, so now that whenever it encounters like threats from a missile turret, it'll drop just outside of the range of the missile turret. So if I have the missile turrets in my... As soon as I show my base again here. Yeah, so if I have the missile turret in my main base, like say I got one right here, he'll fly in this way, see that, hey, there's a missile turret, stop on the edge of the range and drop out the Marines right here. So what I did is, rather than building a missile turret here and here like I normally do, I built one here and then I built one over there as well. And the one over here saved my butt. As you can see, it kind of bugged out his bot. Yeah, Java's, I don't know. Some languages are better than others. No one really, you rarely hear people talk about Java being a great language. But it's well supported. And it's not terrible. And it has a lot of advantages over C++. Which is the most similar language, I guess. Yeah, well supported and then well adopted is two different things, right? Like I think they're on Java 14 now, but like everyone's still kind of coding in Java 8 or somewhere around there. Because people build these like nice toolkits and stuff and they don't update them, so no one else wants to update to the newer versions of Java. Same with if you're working like on a big project for a corporation, they don't want to spend the time to try to update it to a newer version of Java. Like, why take that risk? But Java 8 was adopted really well. It brought a lot of cool features. Brought some functional programming support. There's a missile turret I set up. That saved my butt. So here comes the Marine drop. It's kind of interesting. He took his third base instead of his natural. I think that's to mess with other bots. If your bot scouts and you come and you arrive at your opponent's natural base and you see he doesn't have a natural, you assume he's going all in. So there he stopped outside the range of the missile turret and dropped his Marines. And in doing so, he didn't even make it into my main base. So then once the Marines got out, I'm like, okay, we're not in the main anymore. So let's just abort this whole thing. So literally those 8 Marines would have killed everything in my base. I have no coded defense for it. C++ number 1, Python number 2. You know what I hear a lot of good things about? Which is weird because I don't like much things Microsoft, but people say C# is just has like very few annoyances in that language. The other thing here is anyone who ever switches to a functional programming language just hates everything to do with any object-oriented language for the rest of their life. They switch to functional and they're like, why are people still using object-oriented? That's not so much language specific, but most languages don't support functional unless their language is specifically meant to support functional. So it ends up becoming kind of language specific. Yeah, so there was a pretty major bug my bot had this game. I guess we can let's turn the audio on so it's a little more interesting.
I see Vikings.
I have not. There's some building.
Oh, there's one.
As you mentioned it, yeah.
There it is. Okay. Well, I like that. Antibot's going to at least have Vikings. It has a third base on the...
Yeah, I don't know enough about functional to really talk about it. I mean, Java has a lot of functional concepts in it, but I don't really know. I haven't been taught functional programming, so I don't know the methodologies that make it so much different from object-oriented. But I mean, things like lambda expressions and streams are something that Java has.
The medvacs to be able to keep air control for the Banshees potentially. You know, there's definitely a lot of benefit to it in TVT to have that air control. Ooh, what do we got going on? A lot of Vikings getting selected there for somebody in the. There is a Raven out now as well, so I can only assume that's Ketroc.
You can write in Go or Rust or C++
nice
or Java or Python. There's actually 2 for Python. Google made their own version of the API for Python when they made Alpha Star.
So Ketroc's going to continue this.
It's not as
definitely
good,
go for the later
it's
game.
good for what they were doing.
Really kind of playing the Turtle Terran style a little bit with the planetaries and that, right?
Yeah, it definitely is. The army supply is way down in a lot of the armies in these Vikings.
There's a couple other languages I'm playing. C#.
Okay, dude, like, are these two just real? Are they? Did these bots gain sentience?
This is just literally. Sure this is what happens. This just is Ketroc playing. That's why he left the chat a while ago.
It's tricking himself. Here we go. The Marines are going to try to get.
So here my Vikings try to stay at the edge
here, but they're just taking free shots
Marine
right now. Ketroc
range
needs to go home, like all the way home right now. Ooh.
Since Marines are faster than Vikings, you still end up taking hits. This is actually a little bit of a bug here too. I don't send out my Banshees until I have Cloak, but for some reason I sent out all my Banshee support units. So these are supposed to be supporting my Banshees right now, but my Banshees are like, yeah, we're not going. So I got support units and no Banshees. Oh, what did I just do? Oops. I did again. I'm trying to unmute.
Nice to see the new ones.
I'm hitting the bar.
It's really good too to see those like to come.
And a fourth base now, so Ketroc's going to continue this and definitely go for the later game, really playing the Turtle Terran style a little bit. Well, they think they are.
They think that, yeah.
They want to be.
Again.
All right, he's going to be able to pull him back. The control is still very good. He's taking a lot of free little pot shots here, but he hasn't lost one yet. And once they get below a certain amount, they do pull all the way back home.
Here come a bunch of Banshees. They didn't come one at a time. They just jumped all in at the same time. And they will be able to clean some of this up. But nice scan. Just a little too late with only about 3 Marines left when it happened. But now Vikings.
So I wasn't dodging these scans correctly the entire game. And this is a bug that I've always had and just never knew about it.
The last word bot.
You end up watching the games in like 8x all the time, and you don't realize like the little micro mistakes.
Doesn't matter, if you can't kill all the Banshees.
So notice my Banshees aren't leaving the range of the scan; they're just taking hits there. They're just kind of bouncing back and forth on the edge rather than going outside of the scan range and waiting for the scan to go down. And the reason for that is that this scan, like we can see it here because we're observers, but as a player, you can only see this scan if you can see the center point up here. So once all my units lose vision of the center point, they can't see the scan anymore. So like, oh, it's safe to move in. And then as soon as they move in, they see the center point. And it's like, oh, there's a scan. Let me move back. And then they move back. They can't see the center point anymore. So there's no scan. So like, oh, it's safe to move in. And that's why they're bouncing back and forth at the edge here.
More and kill more of yours, so
what I need to do is when I see a scan, I need to save that to memory. I got to remember, hey, there was a scan there, and it has this duration. So just keep remembering that there's a scan there until this certain game frame comes
the right fight,
comes
but this
up.
is all Marauder and Tank, so they're pretty ineffective.
It's a fix I haven't made yet, but since I'm playing Zerg next week, it's not high priority.
If this kind of moved across the map, but it's not going to. But if it was to take the advantage, they could just kind of pass each other, and this would get a lot of damage done. Now that
you don't always know the exact time it started, depending on whether you didn't see it start or not, but you know
this could help and drive this whole thing back.
You can select a time where you know it'll definitely be gone by, even if it's a little longer than it should be.
3 of them before the scan fades out.
Yeah, so he's killed like 3 Banshees there for free.
Amount of energy should they decide to push back in. They're sticking with the main army though, so they're not. Oh, but here we go. The Antibot's pulling them back in. Oh, he's got to get. Oh, nice pullback actually. I didn't think he had another scan available. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so this problem just happens all game long. Just hanging in the edge.
Target acquired.
They're in scan territory. Nice Cheeto cannon, but
Cheeto cannon.
Doing there.
I like that name.
Got firepower on it. The turret going up here is going to make a huge difference. If that gets established, then that's auto detection. Although there's only even 1 Banshee left right now.
But it'll still help in the Viking versus Viking battle, which still actually is going in Antibot's favor. Somehow, just the fights in general, Antibot has just produced way more Vikings and has double.
Yeah, look at the units lost. Right now, I'm like, I'm almost double him. And units lost is the one thing my bot usually always does really well at. Even if I lose the game, I'm usually cost efficient.
To push through, but a lot of Vikings really did join.
One thing you'll notice every time a Viking gets low,
underneath this,
it heads home. So all these red Vikings are heading back.
Kind of
and that is why I was able to retake air superiority.
The Banshees were numerous.
Because not only am I making more Vikings, but eventually I repair those Vikings and bring them back. So I'm getting new Vikings plus old Vikings that are getting repaired.
Now that the Banshees are dead, the Marines have become a lot more significant. Again, just free damage
on
the
that
Vikings, essentially.
I guess a logic flaw as well.
They were definitely a lot more helpful.
So sometimes I dive my Banshees in to kill a missile turret. And I'm supposed to assess the threat. So I was using like that threat map I showed you earlier. So like these Marines would influence that map, these Vikings would influence that map. But for some reason I decided, yeah, with 3 Banshees I can kill this missile turret before everything else kills me. I'll have to take a look at that code, why it went wrong. But obviously this was a terrible decision to dive on that missile turret.
There you go. There, the turret coming into play, and we'll totally reveal these.
Not only did I lose all 3 Banshees, but I don't even get the turret, and I think he repairs the turret.
Have become a lot more significant. Again, just free damage on the Vikings, essentially, with no threat to themselves. Raven with full energy. I'd like to see a little more auto turret or something. It was a really good anti-armor missile there. Unfortunately, did not get a lot of kills while those Vikings were anti-armored, though.
Yeah, he's got so many more
Just too
Vikings than me
many
that I can't even
Vikings for
retreat my
Anybot.
Vikings in time.
Anybot is just dominating the skies right now.
Yeah, really good control for both of them with the Vikings, pulling back as things are damaged and so on. But just
This is why
being
air control is
prepared
so
for
important,
the
especially when you're
Anybot,
playing
at least
Banshee
for a bit.
Viking like
Here
my
come a
bot
lot
tries
more
to.
by
If I lose air control, it's just
You know, I think these two styles
so
are
rough.
very well suited for each other. Neither one seems to be doing any, sneaky special tactics or anything like that. They're just butting their heads against each other, and it's beautiful to watch. Because Ketroc's getting air superiority again somehow. Where all the Vikings
superiority.
go?
Yeah, they just kind of get
He's having trouble with that
there,
one.
and it looks like it diverted attention to other things, into these liberators as well. But also, this is like, okay, the Thors are going to help.
Oh yeah. I think with Thors. Well, and what's the answer for the Marauders once this pushes across the map?
Yeah.
Other
Yeah,
than a
exactly.
couple Banshees.
Yeah, if these get to the other side, that's the game. But this
was a nice
holding them
engage here. He
back
tries to
is
charge me with the Liberators. And
Perhaps
I guess
Ketroc
Liberators
being
is
a little bit too aggressive.
what he chose to
But
kill the
in a
Banshees
sense,
with,
he
which
has
is
to
smart.
be, he's picking
But they're
off the
so bad
Liberators.
versus
He's
Vikings.
getting all these kills to
That as long as I have
maintain
Viking
their
support, I
superiority,
just
so he kinda has to be
wreck those
aggressive, even
libs.
though he is kind of taking some heavy losses for it.
So
He's
not
actually
only did he
not a
lose
lot.
air superiority
Yeah,
before that, but
That is
now
sweet color.
he's
That'd be
instead of
cool skin.
trying to rebuild
Yeah,
Vikings and
Banshee's
get it
actually
back, he
taking
built
out the
Liberators
Thor.
instead.
This air control for
huge.
Ketroc might actually save him the game.
in the last about 40 seconds, we saw the army
Yeah.
supply go from 6120 to 9898.
Oh, and just look at the chaos now. The Banshees, it's like a shooting gallery. The Marauders all just going single file. They finally reached the Planetary, but the Planetary is going to be able to start shelling away at them as well. Tanks get in range. This is just absolute.
So I basically
massacre
set
right
the
now,
attack
both
point
sides.
to whatever unit is closest to
And
my
they
main
can
base.
totally jump on this position.
So
but
you can
they're
see there's
being
some
a little
units to the
tentative
south
to do so.
Oh,
that
there's
all
somebody
my
in the base
Banshees
south,
are trying to
a little bit
kill,
further
and then
south
these
as well,
units up
like,
here
maybe just like a
on like
beam
that
or something.
ramp. And
Oh, he's
so,
gonna get the Planetary.
since those units are closer than these tanks just get to
Ketroc's
sit here
repairing,
and
but
blast
only
my
with a couple
Planetary to
SCVs,
death.
It's not enough.
And I had no SCVs at that
What is
base,
going
so
on,
I
Sword? This is just.
I don't pull
Yeah, it's
SCVs from
very
other bases to
swingy,
repair.
But I don't know how to stop the Banshees.
So I wasn't
at
able to
this
mass
point.
repair it.
don't think
Without
you
a
can.
really, really strong, clever effort, I don't think it can. It's not getting back air superiority. If it
At this point, the
was
game's kind of
able to
over.
get enough Thors underneath it, then maybe.
I finished the orbital
but
farm in my
it would have
base,
to, like,
so now with my
really
extra
get
minerals,
it.
I'm just taking every
Well, and just look at
expansion on the
how many
map.
bases Ketroc is taking as
So my
well. This
economy is an
really
amazing
where,
spot.
Where Ketroc's
Army
not gonna
supply,
start doing well, it seems, is the late
I'm up
game.
by,
When
what, 30,
armies start trading,
40?
He's still expanding, taking all the resources. He's going to be able to trade a lot more efficiently in the longer game with that. Anybot just kind of stopped about 4 bases.
Yeah. Upgrades are going to be a big factor here too, as we got +2/+2 for Ketrocs.
Oof, yeah. I don't see any way of Anybot getting air control again. With that air control, you don't stop the Banshees.
Exactly. And
Ugh,
I think that's even +3/+3 finishing
For the Vikings?
for
Ketroc?
Ketroc side.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, these are just
that was game one.
a bulldozer at this point.
Oh yeah, man, Sky Terror. It was looking so good for Anybot too, and then yeah, like you said, just in that minute span, Ketroc just cranked out the biggest force of Vikings and was able to take total air dominance.
Yeah, so these are all being run by bots. I can show you if we go to AI arena.net. We can look at the season 1. So these are all the bots on the ladder. Looks like there's 48 at the time. Some bots add themselves and then remove themselves depending on what state they're in. But usually it's around 50 bots on the ladder. And the top 16 qualified for that tournament. So here is the top 16. It's only 1 per author. So the author of Sharpened Edge actually decided rather than bringing Sharpened Edge, he's going to bring the Harvester. Because this bot's better right now, but this bot's probably going to be better soon. So this is the one he's working on. So he decided to bring this bot to the tournament. So I actually qualified as the number 4 seed instead of number 5. And next round I'm against Spiny, who has cheese builds that crush me, as well as his macro play is, at least 50-50 versus me. So I'm in trouble. And it says he's number 6, but for the majority of the season, he was actually number 3. It was always Micro Machine, Sharpened Edge, and Spiny. I think he was experimenting with some new stuff near the end and dropped down. But I'm really facing the number 3 bot next round. So, yeah, I'm really happy I beat Bot in the first round there. So you can see he was like one of the bottom seeds that got into the tournament. However, if you look at my stats, even though I'm ranked well above him, my win rate versus Bot. Oh, it's 63%. Well, more recently, my win rate versus Bot was very close to 0%. So I had to make some adjustments, otherwise he's going to crush me. Yeah, once he figured out how to micro his Raven correctly, my bot just kind of fell apart versus him. No minus mining Zergs? No. But one of the builds that Spiny crushes me with is a 1-base Nidus build. All I have is like 1 Marine and a Planetary, and then Nidus pops up in my base. Yeah, so Micro Machine is the number 1 bot here, and he's also kind of like the unbeatable final boss. This bot is so developed, like so far beyond anything else we have in terms of his development. 94% win rate. You know, when he probably crashes when he gets his losses. And then there's a huge gap between him and number 2, which is Sharpened Edge, which is pretty close to the Harvester. And then a huge gap between Sharpened Edge and everyone else. Everyone else is, really strong, but anyone else in top 16 can beat each other in any given day. Straylock is another one that's not ranked that high, but I want to dodge. He goes like Mass Cyclone, and it usually beats my Mass Banshee, as well as I've tried to make my bot Micro versus Cyclones, like using Cloak to disconnect the lock-on and stuff. It's not working well. No, I don't really play poker anymore. Or I don't play at all, actually. I used to still play some live poker when I was in Toronto, but I've moved outside of the city now, and there's no games being run here. Also, coronavirus and whatnot. And online, I haven't played for many years. Tier was last year's champion. Last season's champion. What happened was Spiny made a special build to beat Micro Machine. So Spiny did all the work of knocking Micro Machine out of the tournament. And then the finals, it was Spiny versus Tier. And I think Tier won 4-3 in a best of 7 or 4-2. It was a pretty close series. Sometimes with bots, the games just kind of play out the same way. So it ends up being like a 2-0 or a 3-0 or a 4-0, depending on how long the series is. But this time it was very back and forth. Okay, do I want to keep working on this? Let's give it a shot and see what happens. It is midnight for me. Okay, let's make static method here. Turn Boolean is Infestor in list. Whatever, terrible name. We'll keep it. It takes in an Infestor. And then we check to see if it's in this list. Stream dot any match. So if Infestor dot unit dot get tag equals new infestor dot get tag. Man, that's any match returns a boolean, right? Yeah. So I just return this. Okay, so I pass in an infestor object, and then it checks to see if that object is already a part of this list. Okay, so now we have a method we can use. So now when I'm looping through all of these visible infestors, so when I'm looping through all the infestors I can see on the screen, I'll filter it to just the infestors that aren't already in the list. Or maybe we don't filter. Maybe for okay, so for each unit where the unit isn't in the list, we're going to just add it to the list, right? So visible infestors, if the infestor is not in the list. I'm kind of new to streams. There's probably a way I can do this in streams, right? No, I got it. We'll do the filter. We'll go back to the filter. Okay, so we filter first, and then for each one remaining, we'll add it to the list. Okay, so infestor list dot add we don't have a constructor. Whoops. Okay, so we got it. What am I taking in? A unit in pool. I. What's wrong now? Requires a tag. Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 round brackets on that line. That's readable code. Okay. So every game frame, we get a list of all the visible infestors. We filter out all the ones that are already in our list that we're keeping. And the ones that remain, we add to the list. Yeah, okay. So I think we have everything we need. This code may be functional now. We do call this on step somewhere, right? Yeah. So we do the energy check. If it's cast fungal, then we call our dodge fungal code, which adds a new enemy mapping. Okay, let's give it a try. Okay, well, we're waiting for this game to get to the point where the enemy has infestors. And I think they built an AI, usually built infestors late game. Let's go check out game 2 from last week. Or maybe we'll check out a game from our opponent. See what we're up against. Yeah, let's check out Spiny's game. So he also won 2-0 first week against a pretty strong Terran.
Little close match, but maybe three-wheel lovers, favored or something like that. Whereas Spiny's bot rival is Micro Machine, which I think Micro Machine's probably a rival of a lot of bots.
Yeah, definitely.
Both these bots.
Number one on their line. Yeah, it's number one on their line.
Yeah, the Blizzard AI works completely different than the bots we build.
Everybody hates Micro Machine.
But the bots we build work kind of in the same
kidding.
manner as
Both
Alpha
these bots
Star
are
does.
programmed in Python as well. Again, we were talking about earlier.
We're using
That
the
seems
same
to be the
base
most common
API.
language, a little bit more user-friendly, maybe to somebody new who wants to get into it. I'm actually looking into maybe making a
Why are you
bot
still empty?
with my girlfriend. She needs to learn some coding languages,
There you
kind
go.
of well, she knows some. She's got to refresh her memory and learn some new ones. But we're gonna potentially create a bot to do that. It's a great way, great.
Yeah,
way
you
to
got to
do a
write code for
fun
every possibility.
project to learn.
So you want to write things in very generic.
Definitely look into the AI Arena
So you're
Discord.
not coding for for millions of different things.
AI-arena.net.
And that's why the Python framework is really smart.
It is. I mean, it's great.
It just
for
kind
that,
of builds
if
like
you're looking to
generic
learn something
responses
for
and
other
generic
purposes,
micro,
fun
and
to do it as part
it's
of the game.
it's pretty
The
good,
first
like
time
very good
I
actually.
Really ever used Python.
And it handles a lot of the nitty gritty code that I have to write.
So-
to travel long
So you
distances.
can put more of your
and go around the
concentration
world.
on just
Yeah,
building
to hook it up
strategies and
to
things.
The Google Maps API and jump around the world.
I know.
You should see the Reaper Micro Machine. It's pretty insane. Spots isn't half bad. I mean, looks like he was focusing the weak Zergling. He keeps it alive. Not terrible. But Micro Machines will actually like dive right in and circle around looking for drones and pathfind his way out when he gets in tricky spots. Yeah, Python's a good language. I mean, the downside to Python as a language for bots is that it's not fast. It's not a fast language, and when performance is so important, there's things Micro Machine can do only because he's coded it in C++. Like if you code the same code in Python, and Python would just be far too slow. It doesn't have the same memory management. But the framework that was built for Python for these SC2 bots is just more than makes up for that.
Only because I know. Well, if I played it now, it probably plays a little different. I would have to kind of relearn.
Yeah, no, it's definitely gotten a little bit crisper because I think I played it. It might have been last season, maybe last season or the season before.
Every Zerg bot
I
just
had to
paints
fight
the
for it.
entire
It was
mini
not
map
easy.
purple.
Yeah, I got into.
The nice thing about bots is the
Battle
instant a
Cruiser
creep
phase.
tumor becomes available, it just gets spread again.
Yeah.
So the spreading logic may
But,
not be the
anyway,
best
so we've
ever,
got, Spiny
but the
scanning around,
spreading
very
macro
active with these lings. I love
of like
seeing
always
active
spreading whenever
bots.
it's possible
Put a ling on the mineral. I
is,
see if a base is coming down.
you know,
see,
way better
see
than any human
drops
can do.
Coming out potentially. It's just really important to have that map vision.
How many bots are
especially
one
if
trick
you
ponies?
are a kind
Not
of
many
reactive
this
bot
season.
Like Spiny is.
Like last season, it was just like whoever signed up
Very,
got
very
in the
good. Yep,
tournament.
there's that creep spread starting
This
up,
time you had to
so
qualify,
good
so
here.
only the top 16 of 50 bots made it.
Doing it Zerg thing here.
And
Ooh, Burrow. on
there's
the
not many
second
one-trick
time we've
ponies
seen
in the
Burrow
top
tonight.
16.
That's awesome. Now, what is that for, do you think?
There's
hope
cheesy bots
based on the
and stuff like
placement of
that,
these
but it's
links,
not like
it's the burrow
there's a
link.
bot that just 12 pulls and sends
Oh,
links
yeah,
every
and
game.
to slow down bases coming. Oh,
Those
that
bots
can be so
exist, but they
annoying,
didn't
especially
qualify
if
for this
Spud
tourney.
doesn't know how to deal with that necessarily. Some bots might not know how to deal with that. I know some do, but I think it's going to be for the road. Roachorn's about to finish up.
Look at that mini map coverage he has. He's got a bro ling at each of the expansion bases. He's coded to find the high ground position where he can hide overlords. Although he's not doing a good job of it right now. Looks like he lost that position. Maybe he had that position, but he's afraid of the bunker, so he tried to move away from it. Oh, you can't see the mini map. That's true. Oh, no, don't want to do that. Nope, that's wrong again. There we go.
Yes.
Because it's the type of thing that humans have to be hyper vigilant on where it's going to be, but a bot would have no problem with that.
There's actually a bot called
Potentially.
Creepy Bot
Unless
who
it
not
doesn't
only
break.
spreads creep perfectly,
Well, I mean,
but
on
his
the gamer
spreading
side,
itself,
you would
like he
never
always
Oh, I
puts
see
the
that.
creep
Gotcha.
tumor right on the
You
very
even
edge
see,
of the
like,
creep. A
pro
lot of bots don't do
players,
that because it's
like,
performance
an
intensive.
army
Oh, yeah.
And he
march
also
over a Baneling, and you're
starts
like,
the game
that
by
Baneling,
building a lot of
yeah,
queens and
please.
starting
but
with
they
creep
weren't
tumors.
looking
So there's no bot in the
Yeah, I
game.
can
Like
see
it's
this,
not
and that
smart,
would
but
be
there's no bot in the
interesting
game
to
that
see,
can
too,
even
you know,
come close to it for
when is
taking
the
over the entire map
optimal
and creep.
time? You know, do you wait for a certain supply? Do you wait for a certain unit? Because obviously against marauders, it's not going to be as effective or something. So, interesting.
and you just burrow 8 of them.
There was a long
Right
period of
about
time where
it.
my bots, I could never even expand beyond like 3 or 4 bases versus Zerg because by that point in the game, wait, it's funny he can't place that command center. Look at that though. What a cleverly written bot. He identifies that's there, sends over Marines, and only scans when the Marines arrive. Well done. But yeah, but usually by that point in the game where I have like 3 or 4 bases, at that point in the game, the entire map is covered in creep. And I was never able to like clear it out well enough to ever expand again. Trying to build a missile turret on top of a siege tank, that's not going to work. There's a link with more info on this tournament. Yeah, it's all being streamed on YouTube, and then the videos go up on YouTube. So just look for ES Champ on YouTube. I can grab their channel quickly and put it in chat. So the next matches are tomorrow. Why didn't that chat work? Can I do it this way? ProBots tourney. Okay, apparently I can't type my own chat. Do it here probably. So you can see there's a scheduled broadcast for tomorrow evening. Yeah, I banned myself apparently. Now it's a Streamlabs software I use to connect to my chat bot and to read the chat. It sometimes disconnects myself, so I'm not logged in. Yeah, so Spiny is way ahead economically here, but he does say he has a lot of trouble with siege tanks, and this is going to be a bio siege tank push. So it all depends how much damage this push can get. Because it looks like he's trying to move out. He's getting distracted by Zergling Renwise and whatnot. But, ooh, that's not a great place to fight. He ate a whole bunch of Ravager Biles. Yeah, he doesn't have any code to dodge Ravager Biles, I can see that much. But with that said, he also was getting wailed on by those siege tanks. So this push will continue. I think if he takes out 2 expansions with this push, then he'll be in good shape. If he takes out 1, he's probably still in the game. If he takes out no bases, he's probably dead, because he's just pretty far behind economically here. There's those Fungals coming out of Spiny. I totally forgot I was running another game in the background. Is that still going? No, it's over already. Let me run another one.
Excellent.
Oh yeah, he's definitely going to need a little bit more. He's hurting in the army supply a little bit, down by about 10 here. But Spiny still has a lot of time to react here. You know, Spud is just now getting to like the 5th or 6th base. So if this base goes down, it's not a big deal. Just needs to make sure that Spiny doesn't lose too much while trying to defend it. That's going to be the big deal.
Yeah, it's losing his queens now as
It's a
well.
matter a little bit though of what is Spiny making right now, and he's making more infestors. That's okay. Making
Target
a couple
acquired.
of fighters, going up to a greater spire, and not much in terms of stuff to deal with this.
Yeah, I'd like to see Mass Viper Hydra. I think that would be really, really good against this.
Broodlord.
Yeah. So the Fungals are pretty strong, but like his composition didn't do well versus the Marine
Is
tank.
one? Oh.
Yeah. So
We'll see how it does. Well, with
Yeah.
the Fungals, it could be really good.
He was putting Blinding Clouds on the tanks, which is
Oh,
kind
man,
of cool.
these
Like right there, he
Fungals
has hit
are-
Blinding Cloud of the tanks.
So many.
Also
He's-
because
And it looks like he flew around the Marines to do
Because
so,
of Brood
so that's
War,
pretty neat.
Brood
Fungals are definitely
Lord
hitting well.
logic, and the way that AIs may think, they're not. The tanks may not hold their fire
So I think if
when
Oh,
Spud
yeah.
pushed through this base, he might have had a
Not that
chance
there's
versus
much
Spiny.
frontline in-
But the tech switch is complete, and he's going to start.
No, I see what you're saying though.
Using
that could
Broodlords here.
definitely be kind of where it tips around. Here come the Broodlords. Let's.
So I don't
see
use
if your
tanks
predictions
myself,
come
but I was
true.
tking
You know, there
one
is
thing a
Viking
bot can do
that's
that
gonna
humans
get all
can't
the way- yeah,
is a
these
bot
tanks
can
are
just
gonna start shooting their own
focus
troops here, I think.
fire every
And
single
there's
shot with
not
the
a lot
siege
of
tank.
anti-air. There is one Viking, but it gets parasitic
So you can
bomb,
always just
so
shoot
it will
something
go
that's
down.
not
The
a
Marines
broodling
try
or
to
not,
dive
or
on
a
top
unit
of
that's
the
not
field
up
a
against your
little
own
bit,
units.
but
And that way you never have to
so
worry about the tanks
Three
splashing
more
your own
Broodlords
units.
on the way. If this gets up to like 6 to 8 Broodlords,
Well-
then I don't know how they're gonna.
Unfortunately, it's not something that Spud is coded, so these siege tanks are going to be blowing themselves up.
Not now. But here we go. There we go. All but the one Viking of anti-air is gone here. And 2 Broodlords, even though they are anti-armor missiled, are now going to be able to start breaking down the siege line, but the base falls before Spiny can break it. That
Yeah,
is-
he loses the
And
base,
the
but he doesn't lose the
outside
workers. So he already had enough
Spud's
hatcheries. I don't think it
favor.
matters
The
too much.
Economies are very equal.
Only had a couple more Vikings, so that one Viking's going
Spany's
ham. I
expanding
think it's
to
killed
the
like 3
north here.
Broodlords.
So
Unfortunately,
definitely
there's
not out of it,
Corruptors
even though
now.
Spiny has lost 2 bases to this point. Still is up on 5, almost to be 5 here. So this is definitely not over for Spiny, and it looks like Spud's actually
They're tearing
starting
about
to
the
get
drops mules on
pushed
mass
back
tank.
a little bit here. You know,
Yeah,
he's got more army
gotten rid of the
supply,
tank
but-
line.
Yeah, the
That
tank
could be
line's
hard to
gone.
code. Because you got to find a
Even just
target
this
to
couple of
drop
Corruptors out has
a
been
mule on
pretty big.
Oh, what's the
and he'll be
medevacs
able to
falling
that's
clear
down?
in range of an enemy siege tank, but not in range of a lot of other enemy army.
The only reason they've been able to
Like you can't drop it near
is
Marines.
because of
Marines
the-
will just gun it down before their tank even
Yeah,
shoots.
Broodlings do not do a ton of damage aside from their initial.
But that could be
They
interesting.
get enough of them, they do.
I'm not sure if you'd ever get the enough value.
Marines are still pushing.
You probably get more
But
value
guys
just
are
using
still
mules to
here
mine.
healing. One of the Brood Lords is really, really low, but it's just slowly getting mobile back. As the tanks come, actually, they're going to help
I mean, you can definitely do it.
kill off this bio.
It's a little more code than you think, but it's not difficult code.
Again. Yeah, the fungal. I think the fungals were the biggest changer in this, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, they're the only thing that held back that initial push. That would have just been death right there if there weren't like 6 good fungals.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and the Brood Lords is an amazing follow-up to it, but yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say the fungals were the
So a lot of Zerg bots just kind of go Roach Ravager Hydra, because it's, you know, it's an easy composition to micro. It's just kind of units that attack forward, and sometimes they kite forward, and sometimes they kite back.
Pretty close there, so.
But it's not that strong of a composition, right? When you think of the strength of Zerg, you think of their late game units, there's hive units, there's spellcasters.
Still fighting.
Spiny's one of the only Zerg bots that really try to make use of these.
Oh, but a lot of upgrades finishing up here.
We've seen
for the Zerg. It looks like +3
Blinding
melee
Clouds,
+3 armor.
Parasitic Bombs, Fungal Growths, Brood Lords.
Yeah, and that's going to make these.
He's got a decent
grand
endgame
units
here.
A lot more effective. And you mentioned a war of attrition, and I think Spy is hitting that attrition.
Yeah, look at the mini map.
where the main and natural are really not.
He had a lot of creep cleared too by Spud, and then still look at it. It's thick creep spread too. It's not just a lot.
There is nowhere safe to take a base. Maybe the very bottom right, but it doesn't seem like Spud's that type.
Neural Parasite. That's a spell I've never seen a bot use.
Going to take hidden bases. Just wants to push out nice and slow and steady, secure the bases.
You know what's
Even
kind
has
of a funny
planetary
spell
there,
with
so
bots
it's gonna
is
buy a lot of time here, potentially at this fourth
nukes.
base, but eventually.
So nukes would be terrible versus bots, because bots can instantly find the red dot, and then you just gotta move your units away. But since it's terrible, no one makes nukes, and since no one makes nukes, no one codes a defense to nukes. So every once in a while, when a bot actually nukes something, it usually lands like a truck. I don't know how trucks land, but you got the point. It usually hits really hard just because no one has bothered to code any anti-nuke defense.
But yeah.
So it could be the same with Neural Parasite, right? Like no one
Phenomenal
considers
game won
Neural
between
Parasite
these
when
two,
they're coding their
however.
bot.
But it does look like Spiny has finally broken the back. Yeah, army supply heavily in Spiny's favor, and no real answer.
Nukes can be a good zoning tool as well.
The Lings, the Hydras, the Fungals are just going to be able to buy in.
Like if you drop a nuke and your opponent immediately moves his army back,
Man,
then
look at that creep
it's like a
spread.
good
That's one
method
thing
to
I
buy
really
yourself
like about
30
Spiny
seconds.
is just the non-stop creep spread. Even taking over the creep where Spud managed to push a nice path through it and kill a lot of tumors, but Spiny
Yep, so
just
this is next
replaces
week's
it so
opponent.
quickly that
He
it
2-0'd
doesn't
Spud.
matter.
Yeah, and you can see the effect here.
So
once
this is
you
who we're
shove
building the
someone on,
anti-fungal
4
code
bases
for.
And you've got several creep tumors over the others.
Speaking of which, I did start that game again. Oh. Look at my bot go. How come clicking on the minimap doesn't work? When did that become a problem for me? So my bot is doing nothing. I think we got a bug in our code. No wonder the game ended last time. Let's see what we got in the output here. Null pointer exception. Infestor list. I never created the list. Okay. I'm trying to add to the list and read the list, but I never actually created the list. Let's try that again. Afk Bot. You know when you play someone StarCraft 2 and you type in chat, has left the game, is defeated, and then it puts your name at the front, and so just let's say like Ketroc has left the game, and people hope that their opponent will just leave, and you can trick them. I'm going to try that versus Micro Machine if I have to play him, because frankly I have zero chance of beating that bot, so I'm just going to do something funny. Is he building? He's building. Okay, we got a depot. I still don't understand why I can't click on the mini-map. This is so weird. Yeah, I gotta close this other SC2 window. Maybe it's breaking the first one. Nope, didn't help. So no airs are being thrown. That's good news. Steve Solo, we might win. I don't expect it to work. I just think it'd be funny. Then maybe I'll make a comment afterwards in the chat saying like, "Oh, that was my best idea for how to beat Micro Machine." Now what am I supposed to do? I do survive longer versus Micro Machine than most other bots. I still have a 0% win rate, but at least I don't die in the first 8 minutes like most other bots do. Because he kind of harasses with just like a Reaper or two and a Cloak Banshee or two and a Cyclone or two, and that's usually enough to kill people, just like his little harass. So this is something new I kind of do with my bots. 2 siege tanks and 2 liberators for every base. And until I see any evidence that my opponent's making air units, I keep doing that. As soon as I see evidence of air, I stop producing those. I actually started a code hotkey 8 at one point, and then I thought, I have like 1,000 things I need to do to make my bot better. Maybe I shouldn't be coding a meme. So remember that code we did to rotate on a pivot point? This is what I used it for. My pivot point was the command center. I look back to the midpoint of the minerals, and then I pivot this way to put one liberator, and I pivot the other way to put the other liberator. Same with the siege tanks. I find the midpoints of all the minerals and gas nodes, which is like somewhere here, and then I just kind of pivot one direction or the other. And then I move it away from the command center by a certain amount. So that's where we use the trigonometry that we were able to reuse today. Yeah, I mean, my ground units are very static. Like, the only time I ever move these siege tanks is when I dry out this base. Then I'll move it to the next base. So I don't really have a ground army that does much, but this is effective, you know? I got repair coded in, so you got a planetary out front getting mass repaired by SCVs with 2 siege tanks and 2 liberators behind. That can absolutely crush a timing attack on its own sometimes. So anytime all my existing production facilities are producing and I have enough money for another one, then I'll build another one. That's how I decide to add on starports. Anytime I have the money to expand, but I'm already fully saturated, or I'm not fully saturated at all my bases, like I don't have any oversaturation going on, I build a macro orbital instead. Oh yeah, so there's your own parasite. Does he have any infestors? This is what we want to see. Problem is, also the speed is so fast, I'm not even sure if we'll even notice. We also don't really have much of an air army. I think our air army right now is just 1 Raven. We've spent all our money on these liberators and let me just hop actually fully into this game. We click on the minimap when we're full screen? No. Weird. Yeah, we spent all our money on those tanks and liberators, so our air army hasn't really built up. Okay, there, now we have it. So these are the units that are going to try to dodge the fungal. Now the way I dodge things is I just move backwards, since I'm just reusing my generic dodge. So what we want to see is as soon as the projectile, the fungal, comes out, my units move backwards from that point. Also, these numbers, wherever the fungal is, should jump up by 100. I don't see any infestors yet, though, unfortunately. So you can see if it's easy enough with Parasitic Bomb, I just pull that Banshee away. I don't have to pre-dodge that. There's a fungal. Oh, there's an infestor. I really wish I could click the menu. What if I hold down the middle mouse button? Okay, there we go. No, it's not working anymore. Oh no, we gotta do it here. Oh well. I thought if you hold the middle mouse button, you can. Oh, there it goes. Move the screen. Vikings are actually good versus mutas within the hands of a bot. When you go perfect kiting backwards, even though mutas are faster, they just take a lot of damage trying to dive in on them. I saw an infestor. I know he has them. We will get to see this code tested. The chat never disappears either. I guess that's a... I don't know why that happens, actually. Why the chat doesn't disappear. Chat is actually a good way to debug stuff. If you have like code that executes at a certain time, start it by writing something in chat. And that way, even when you're playing it on AI Arena, you can see if it worked properly or not. Because you don't always have access to your error log. Yeah, on ESChamp, there's actually there was a video done by Stephen Brown. I think it's like a series called Bits of Code. It may even be a playlist. And in there, he builds a bot. He kind of uses an existing bot, looks at the code there, tries to figure out how it works, and create his own bot. And like in a short video, he creates like a one-base carrier rush bot, which isn't the best example of an amazing strategy, but it was a good example of, what it's like to build a bot from scratch. Oh, there was a fungal. It doesn't look like I dodged it since every single one of them was hit. Are we seeing those numbers jump up to 100 plus? I didn't notice it. So wherever I think the fungal is going to land, yeah, I don't think it's working. So, yeah, okay, that one I definitely saw. It launched over here, and these threat numbers did not change at all. So I wonder if it's just not working or if it's finding the wrong position. Maybe I'm like marking somewhere completely wrong on the map. Because we were making the assumption of what the hell that radian meant. That 0 radian means north. I could be wrong. Yeah, the files are being dodged easily. That's completely different, though. Did I anti-armor missile my own Banshees? Good job. Yeah, I'm not seeing the numbers jump up anywhere. So I think if we had the position wrong, it would still be nearby. It'd still be within 10 range of the infestor, right? So whenever a infestor casts, I want to see if these red numbers somewhere jump up. Okay, let's run it again in debug mode. So we can step through the code. Let me look for errors first. I'm trying to queue command center. Looking for red font. No, we're clean. So didn't throw any errors. Why did I run in debug mode to begin with? That would have made more sense. Now we gotta wait for the game to go through again. Let me double check the logic here. So we start with an empty list. We get the visible infestors each game frame. And if the invisible infestor is not in our infestor list, then we add it to the infestor list. And then also every time through the frame, we loop through the infestor list. We check to see if the infestor's energy... Oh, I bet this code is wrong somehow. So if the previous energy minus the current energy is between 73 and 75. So let me think. If the... Sorry, my scene swapper keeps trying to jump into the SC2 there. So say my previous energy is 200. So if the previous energy is 200 and then I subtract the current energy, so say it drops to 125. That's equals 75. So if it's greater than... Oh, but it's a decimal anyways, so I don't think the equal sign matters. Whatever, let's just make it 76 to be sure. Let's restart it. What if the infestor energy is big initially? So this previous energy is what the energy was in the previous game frame. So a split second ago, if a split second ago he was at 200, and right now he's at 125, then we know he spent 75 energy. So it's not really about how high it is, it's about if it suddenly drops by the cost of a fungal spell. That's the way we're trying to make it work. Let's scene swapper. Yeah, so if that difference is greater than 73 and less than 76, okay. That looks fine. So if that's the case, we want to dodge the fungal. And in dodge fungal, we get the fungal position. This could be wrong. This is where the trigonometry is involved, so this could definitely be wrong. This is why we want to debug. Let's put a breakpoint. Where? Here. First time we want to dodge the fungal. Wait, what? What? Why is this being called now? It's being called every single frame. Every single frame this is passing. The infestor list should be empty, right? So how are you reaching dodge fungal? Okay, I got some bracketing issue here. Why is it just walking straight into here? What? That ends the if. That ends the for loop. That ends the on step. So why is it walking from this line straight into the next function? Oh, I should check the call stack, you're right. I'm guessing I might have saved a change before I jumped into the bot. Alright, let's put the...
Take thy beak from out
Not
my
there.
heart, and take thy form from off my door. Quoth the raven.
Yeah, I must have made a change and saved it after I already started the bot. It just didn't understand the code. It's running fine now.
Thanks for streaming tonight, Ketroc.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry it's not an actual stream. And this is still bugging me why I can't click on the minimap.
Target acquired.
Unfortunately, I don't have my... I guess I can go here. Who was that? Pony Danza with the resub. Thank you so much, man. Does that say 71? 21. Still impressive. 21 months in a row. Almost 2 years of non-stop support. Yeah, sorry, I don't have any of the stream labels on this setup I got going here. It's the first time I've ever streamed coding. Okay, so we got the breakpoint the first time we tried to dodge a fungal, which probably isn't good enough because we never tried to dodge a fungal. So let's, No, it probably is good enough. I don't know. We'll stop it somewhere. If that breakpoint doesn't get hit, we'll stop it somewhere around the same point when he has infestors. I'm pretty sure it reaches this code. I mean, this seems very basic. I think it's probably dying in here. And when it calculates the fungal position, it probably does it all wrong. Or maybe it's not getting mapped correctly. Let's see what's going on here. We create a new enemy unit. Set the XY, create a detector, give it a range, threat level. Oh. No. I've forgotten this code. Calculate the largest range. Oh, for going through the map. That could be the issue too. Okay, we're calling the dodge fungal code. Let's see what sparked it. Is it right? Should we be calling it? Yeah, so there's an infestor that probably just cast We'll probably see the
1
projectile in the
banana,
next
2
frame.
banana, 3 banana, 4 all bananas make a split. So do many more over hill and highway. The banana buggies go come along to bring you the banana splits show tra la la, tra la la. La, I don't understand any of this, but you be Ketroc.
Someone's had more beers than I have had tonight. Thank you for the awesome message and the donation to Jerome. What was I doing? Right, so let's step in and see if we calculate the right position here. All right, so the infestor position is at 75, 126. So we're hoping that we somehow get, like, the infestor's facing north, right? So it should be something around 75, 116 is the position we want to solve. Oh, I guess we can look at direction too. Direction is 1.76. So what was that? Every one is 50 degrees, so 1.76 radians. It's 101 degrees. Yeah, so 0 radians is definitely not north. Okay, so the first problem is this assumption we made on how get facing works is wrong. Because it looks like it should be casting in north, right? By the direction it's facing. It's facing almost due north. But it's getting the get facing returns a value of 103 degrees. So I guess the radian is due south. No, 103 degrees. Is that what that was? (101 degrees). So maybe it's due east is 0. Then you go 103 degrees from there and it brings you up like this way. So it starts right to then it goes counterclockwise. Actually, that's another thing. I have this rotate method. I don't even know which way it rotates. Do I not specify the whether it's clockwise or counterclockwise? Gotta look at that method. Okay, let's go to the end of our game frame here. Garbage, garbage, garbage. That's still bugging me. So there it is. That's where I think it's going to land, right there. So this is the infestor. It is 10 distance away. So we're rotating from the wrong point. But shouldn't fungal should have a bigger range than this. So I think I need to set that max range value as well. Okay, I think there's two problems, and I think we can fix them both quickly. So the one thing is I think this is used to determine so there's all different ranges I need to adjust for. So you set the max one, and that's the portion of the grid I just look at. I didn't do that because I forgot what this is for. So let's set max range for fungal. Or maybe I can just call it. I mean, they're all the same. They're all 10 plus cutting buffer, but I think it just finds the largest of these three. Whatever. Let's keep it simple. Okay, that was the one problem. The other problem was the direction. So let's go back to Infestor. So 0 rads is east. So if it's east, then my origin point will be x plus distance. And my y will be the normal y coordinate of the infestor. And then I gotta make sure this rotates counterclockwise. That's weird. I have a method called rotate and I don't even say what direction. I guess a positive angle is one direction and a negative angle is the other. Yeah, I'm not going to figure this out. I'm just going to trial and error it. If it doesn't work, I'll make it negative. Okay, I think this might fix it. I do have water. Yeah, so we had two problems. One, it was only saying the fungal range was just like a point instead of a big circle. And the other was it was placing it completely in the wrong position because this API is not documented at all and we were guessing. No, I think the position, like I assumed that 0 was north, and then the position was to the west, right? So that was about 100 degrees. It was just my assumption that 0 is north, I think is wrong. So I think it did rotate 100 degrees. Oh, wait, are we dying early? What's going on here? Why am I floating back that command center? We may not make it to Fungals. Oh, we just lost another base. Whenever I'm floating command centers back to my base, I know things are going poorly. Oh god. Yeah, we just got roach rushed. We're dead. Let's try this again. I might have been able to come back and get that game to Fungals, but you know, we're 1 minute in. Let's just restart. Get a good start. I haven't picked the strategy for the AI opponent, so it just picks one at random. maybe some of the cheesy strategies work well versus me. Like any attack that hits before I have that planetary fortress, and I'm in trouble. I want to turn off that scene swapper, but I got to restart the stream to do it. Yeah, I think we got it this time. If we don't have it this time, we probably have it next time. I think we solved the issue, and I'm just unsure which way my thing rotates. I guess while we're waiting, I can try to figure it out. So the angle, that's hilarious. So apparently to do this trig, I changed the angle into radians. So I turned the radians into angle so I could use this function, and then the first thing this angle does is turn it back into radians. Times cos times sin. Oh my god, how did I ever write this in the first place? Who the hell does trigonometry beyond grade 10 mathematics? So the new x point is, all right, so x times cos minus y times sin. What in the F? Yeah, I'm not going to be able to figure out which way this angle goes. All right, and cos and sin are, okay, it'll be like sin theta, cos theta. So x cos theta, y sin theta. No, I can't. Nope, not going to happen. We're doing the trial and error method. It's weird I have no memory of that. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I actually I do have memory of it now. Yeah, doing this rotation thing was a pain in the ass. Yeah, I remember I was proud of it because I didn't know what I was doing, but the code worked immediately when I wrote it. It was like one of those rare first times, first attempt and no bugs. All right, so he's got hydras. No sign of infestors yet. I'm pretty sure the built-in AI always goes infestors though at some point. Man, he's really scared out Liberation Zone. Lib's doing work. Oh, he tries to fly away because the base died. That was a bad choice. Maybe I should put a delay on that. After a base dies, don't leave until there's no threat nearby. Because probably if a base died, there's probably a lot of enemies there. That's not the time you want to be unsieging. Guess we can go full screen. There's an infestor. Oh, and we just stopped too. So, okay, that hit the breakpoint. Okay, so what do we got? Make this bigger. Yeah, so I think it's this infestor here. And it looks like it's aiming up this way. Right, so we're expecting it somewhere around there. So if this is right, our angle should be somewhere around 130 degrees. So we're expecting an angle around 130 degrees, and then we want the hundreds to show up here. So let's see how that works out. All right, so we'll step into this calc func position. Up, up, up. So 2 radians. Yeah, 120 degrees. So that's what we expected. The current position is, so the infestor's at 77,127. So the fungal should be like 75. Wait, what did I say? 77,127. So like 75,136 is probably what we want to calculate it to. And it calculated to 72,136. Yeah, that's basically what I said. Okay, so I think this is going to work. Let's just put another breakpoint at the end of the frame. Run it there. Take a look at the map. Holy mother of God. Okay. That is a gigantic circle of hundreds. Okay, we got an issue here. Okay, fungals are not that big. But at least it's in the right position. The center point's probably correct. So it's probably just an issue in that constructor. Yeah, I set the range to 10. But that's the range from the center point. The casting range of the fungal is 10, but the radius of the fungal itself is not 10. Yeah, so what is the radius of a fungal anyways? It's the other bot ladder, by the way, se2ai.net. Fungal growth. Yeah, so if they ever give Zerg a small buff of making their fungal growth have a diameter of 20, then we got the code for that. So radius of 2. I think we'll give it a buffer too. What is the cutting buffer anyways?
Target
2.75. So we're going to kind of pretend that it's 5 just so my units really try to move away. Is that necessary? It seems like I just thought of another problem. The very next game frame, this enemy unit I'm creating here is going to disappear. It's only this math we're doing is only going to last for 1 frame. So I need to extend it for like however long it takes for a fungal to fire, like 1 second or whatever. Okay, we'll have to code that in. Yeah. But this should work. Yeah, so unfortunately this extra 100 circle thing we're putting on the influence map is only going to last for 1 game frame. So a split second later it'll disappear. We need to make sure it sticks around for about a minute. And off the top of my head, I can't think how I'm going to do that. Did I debug? Let me just double check. Let's run that again. We didn't debug. So I'm glad I restarted it. Okay. So I think instead of doing this, where we add it to enemy mapping, we need to create another list, I think. Maybe we'll do it in the same place. So keep track of incoming fungals. So we need to, when we see a fungal coming, we need to create something to add to this list, and then we need to say like which game frame to get rid of it on. Yeah, so we're going to need some sort of class to represent that data. So what will we store in here? I guess just the position. And we'll set the game frame to until game frame. And then when we add it, create this object, we'll set the position, and then we'll calculate the game frame. until game frame equals bot.obs.get game loop. How long does it take a fungal to land? Less than a second, right? It's 22.4 frames per second. So maybe we care about the fungal for about 2/3 of a second. Does that sound about good? And then after 2/3 of the second, we'll forget about the fungal. Let's play it safe. No, that sounds good. 2/3 of a second. Okay, so this will be a list of incoming fungal. And then, instead of creating this map, we want to say incoming fungal list dot add new incoming fungal, and we pass in the fungal position. Okay, so now we have a list of all the incoming fungals that are happening at any moment in time. So we need to map incoming fungals. So there's our list. So for each incoming fungal, we want to add a new mapping with the fungal position, which is fungal dot position. And then we need some sort of method for removing these fungals once this until game frame is passed. So public void boolean remove is expired. Okay, so I got a method to see if it's expired. And then I guess we'll handle that back here. Remove expired fungals. In fact, for performance reasons, I guess we should do this before we map. filter. File. The incoming fungal is expired. Okay, so we filtered it down to the expired one. So if it's expired. Oh, no, you can't do this. Is not a functional programming methodology. You're not supposed to remove from lists. So we can't do this with the stream. Do an old-fashioned loop. If get I dot is expired. So if it is expired, then incoming fungal list dot remove I. And then you gotta move the index back one. Okay. Have we still not been fungal yet? Do we have a breakpoint? I guess we'll just restart it since we wrote this code. Where should I put the breakpoint? I guess still the beginning of dodge fungal. Filter and then to list. Yeah, you're right. But then we're creating a new list, right? Is that a performance concern rather than just adjusting the existing list? I don't even know. I don't know what streams do in the background. Yeah, you're right though. That would definitely work. I don't know. The only thing I know about functional programming is that they're really hard on the keeping everything immutable. Yeah, so rather than change the existing list, you create a new list that's filtered down and then set that equal to overwrite the variable. Whatever. I mean, this will work, I guess. Removing out the middle of the list is also slightly inefficient. Yeah, that's probably true, because this is an array list. I don't think any of this efficiency matters. I think I should just do the way that makes sense, which is probably the way you said. Yeah. Kind of want to test it first, but let's write code and not save it in the meantime. So it'd be incoming fungal list dot stream filter our fungal filter's always backwards in my head. I always think of the opposite of what it should be. So we're filtering the list down to where this statement is true, right? So we want to filter down to where fungal is not expired, right? And then I collect it to a list, and then I got what? It would just be like this. How does collect work? Or is it already set it? Is this redundant? I can't even understand what that was saying. If I do like this though, and it gives me an error. It doesn't give me an error, so much must return a list, right? I don't even know. Yeah, it's probably necessary. Oh, I just hit save. God damn it. That's going to mess up my debugger. Yeah. I think if it's like a links list is really fast at taking out elements in the middle of a list. I think if I chose different links type. But I need to get used to using this stream stuff. This is all very new to me, so I think anytime I can, I should do it this way. You can always move the last element to the deleted element. Forms is concerned. And if you don't care about the order. There was a time when I knew all the different collections and used the appropriate ones. Now it's just like, there's just like my go-to collections. You know, if it's a map, I make a hash map. When it's a list, I make an array list. I don't even think about it. I really should try to recall like the advantages of different ones and when to use them. Filter where fungal is not expired. We filter to this, right? We don't filter. So for every infestor that's not in the list. Yeah, okay. I got this right in my head. So for every fungal that's not expired, we keep it and then we reset it to the new list. And then we loop through the list. For every fungal in that list, we add a new enemy mapping. Okay. Looks good. It's 1:30 a.m. How the hell did that happen? All right, I hope this works because I need to call it a night. Filtering the array and storing the arrays. Memory allocation each time. I don't know much of what goes on in the background for streams. I remember I had some concerns, and when I looked it up, my concerns went away. Like I thought if you did multiple filters, it would like loop through the list multiple times, but that's not how it works in the background. So I think it's pretty efficient with certain things. I don't really know the answer to your question though. Okay, so we just stopped here. So it looks like the fungal is probably coming from this guy here, right? That's my guess. And it's probably going to shoot it down here. So I think we got the position right last time, so we don't have to test that again. Let's just see though. It's picking a fungal position of 115.34 when the infestor whatever. Okay, so then we add that to the new, add a new incoming fungal. Okay. So the incoming fungal list has the fungal, and it says there's the game frame it's supposed to disappear on. I just filtered it out. What? This removed it, even though I just added it. That can't be right. Let's put a breakpoint there. No, let's put a breakpoint. Yeah, we'll just wait for the next fungal. There we go. And then there. So the until game frame is 11.792. Can actually. So if 11.792 I'm an idiot. So once the current time passes the until game frame, that's when it's expired. Okay, so we had that backwards. Yeah, ESChamp is not streaming ProBots to Twitch this year. Everything's on YouTube, so it's all in one place. All right. I'm getting tired. Unfortunately, too, once I get this working, there's still a little bit of cleanup I gotta do. Because this was not the best laid out code. And I also wanted to set up a little more generic, because I think if I'm going to write this code, I might as well make it work for EMP and Parasitic Bomb as well. Or you know what's even better? Oh no, this is good enough. Just going by game frame. But the other way is instead of you know, keeping this fungal active until a certain amount of time. I could keep the fungal active until one of my units gets hit with fungal, right? Assuming it's going to hit something. Yeah, maybe this is more consistent actually. But you can see when the fungal actually lands. That much I have available to me in the API. Yeah, we know the direction thing works. What was our last success? Our last success is we found the fungal, we marked it in the correct position, but we gave it a radius of 20 instead of a radius of 4. So it was a gigantic bubble. It's like, so if we cast a fungal here, my bot was like, all this area is a fungal. But what we worked on the last 10 minutes or so was making sure that when we do mark where a fungal is, we want to mark that spot for like at least a second, or at least 2/3 of a second. Give it time for the projectile to actually land before we say that spot is safe again. I don't know, is cleaning up and refactoring the same thing? Like, I know refactoring is a subset of cleaning up, but I feel like some certain simple cleanup, well, maybe it's all refactoring. I don't know. Oh, we got an army. Oh, and there's infestors too. Good. We'll find out soon. As soon as we find something to fungal. This is where I'm cheering for my base to die, so you'll move on to a base that has SCVs. Fungal something. Okay. Yeah, I guess it's probably this guy in the front. I can't even tell. There's so much. It's probably this guy trying to fungal. So we probably want to mark the fungal somewhere here. All right, so we add it to the list. Okay. So it's in the list. Let's make sure we don't delete it from the list this time. After that line of code, it's still in the list. And then for each fungal in the list, we add it to the mapping. And then if we go to the end of our frame, we should see it on our influence map. Cross your fingers. There it is. So we're suspecting it to be here. Now I specifically made it too big, just so maybe that's I might have gone too far, but I don't want to cut it close. I want my banshees to try to run away. Unfortunately, we don't get to test to see whether we actually dodge it because there's nothing here that's going to dodge it. So let's continue until he tries to cast it at my banshee ball. Let's just get rid of the breakpoint for now. Where's my air army? My air army consists of 3 Vikings and a Raven right now. Oh, we actually held that base? I thought he was shredding it. Oh. Okay, that might be a good one. What's he fungaling? So it looks... They all look low in energy. Okay, so it looks like he's fungaling this way. Probably aiming at this Banshee. Okay, keep an eye, see what these Banshees do. Here we go. They did try to back up. They all got hit, but they did try to back up. I think it's, you know, they're not moving away from the center point, they're just backing up, which as I knew how it would work. That's better than nothing. They are trying to dodge before it lands. That's definitely what we were trying to do. Okay, we got it again. So this fungal is probably being cast at these Vikings. So I'll try to make this bigger. Yeah, it's the fungal being cast at these Vikings, and then we hit play. Oh, it looks like they're still moving forward. There's a second fungal too. Okay, that didn't work at all. Oh, I think the Vikings were diving on the Overseer at that time. Once they decide to dive an Overseer, they don't care about this influence map. They just commit. They're very decisive in that way. Decisive is often another word for the word stupid. So that's okay. That actually went as expected. So it still could be functional. We're just waiting for the next fungal. Where's the rest of my army, man? It's so tiny. Like 13 minutes in the game and I have like 6 air units. Okay, so we're getting fungaled again. Who's casting it? Like, none of these infestors are facing this direction. Oh, I think he's casting it at this guy. That'd be a waste of a fungal. Alright. Alright, we just got fungaled again. It's too... I can't even see which one it is. Let's just see if our guys pull back. Well, it looks like it works, but it looks like it's pretty useless. Maybe if like 9 Vikings are going to get caught, only 8 will actually get hit with this new code. But there's not much time to dodge that fungal. At least not if I'm pulling straight backwards. Maybe if I pull away from the center point instead, but that's going to require a whole bunch more code. I mean, it's definitely not making my bot worse. It's just, yeah, that was little improvement or it was no improvement at all. I guess the other thing we should do is check the duration, whether that 2/3 of a second was the right amount of time. It seems to land quicker than that. Although it's hard to tell because this is sped up speed here. Better to avoid clumping in range of the infestors. Yeah. So another thing I could think of, but I won't be able to do it in time for this next week's tournament. My deadline is Sunday to submit, but some sort of code to try to keep my air units separated. It would probably involve a whole new method of my kiting. We do have another fungal coming in here from this guy. So he's facing this way, so I expect the fungal to be like here. They're already dodging the Ravager Bile though, so I don't know. Let's see what happens. Still all get hit. Another fungal from this guy. Oh! Wait, what happened there? Where'd you shoot it? Where's the big numbers? I think it missed. Or maybe it just hasn't landed yet. Maybe it's just about to land. Is that the green from it? Ah! That looks somewhat useful. It looked like it hit 5 Vikings, but maybe without that code it would have hit like all 12 of them. Oh, that was a bad one. Yeah, I don't know. It's very little time. It's very imprecise what I'm doing. Probably wasn't worth the effort, but I think it made my bot like a minuscule amount better. And if I ever change the way I dodge the fungal, then the rest of the code will be more relevant. Oh, even when I'm parasitic bombed, I commit to killing the spore crawler. That's why I said decisive often means stupid. It's like, we're killing the spore crawler. We don't care what happens. Even if we're sitting in the middle of a parasitic bomb. Okay, well, that was something. First attempt at a coding stream. I mean, they're definitely moving before it lands. So any movement at all could help a little bit. It could be that this AI, targets the fungal right in the middle of my clump. But maybe some of the bots I'll be facing on the ladder will try to target the fungal on like the edge of my units. So it gives me a little bit, I don't have to travel as far to dodge it. So maybe against a bot like Spiny next week, maybe it'll look better than this. But whatever. I can still, as long as I can see the infestor, I can still read its energy, even if it's burrowed. So as long as my Raven is within range, detection range, it will still work versus burrowed infestors. I have a feeling that Spiny doesn't burrow his infestors. I think he only burrows them when he runs out of energy and wants to retreat with them. I think he prefers to keep them unburrowed for the extra speed. Is this science and technology? I don't know. When I was in SC2, they told me to move to this category. Now I'm here and I'm supposed to move back. It's coding in SC2 bot, StarCraft 2 bot, so it's part game, part coding. I think I'll probably keep it in StarCraft 2 category next time. Because if I'm going to find viewers, I'm probably more likely to find viewers that are casual SC2 viewers rather than casual coding stream viewers. Is there such thing as coding stream viewers? Is there even such thing as coding streams? The Ketroc category. Did anyone else have fun with the command center bug that was around for the last couple of days? Do you guys know about that? So you can train the bug where you could, if you set up right, you could use your command center to pick up anything, basically. And we found out because of that, Marines not only can fire while they're inside a bunker, but they can fire while they're inside any structure. So you can create a floating command center and put Marines inside, and then have Marines shooting out of the flying command center. But that's not all. So you could, if you want to get more Marines in the command center, you could put Marines inside of bunkers and then pick up bunkers with the flying command center. And you could even do that and then have another command center pick up that command center, and you could get up to probably 200 Marines. But it was a funny exploit. They had to shut down the ladder for a while. What's going on here? Why isn't this playing? Oh, Lord. Yeah, so check this out. So if you try to pick up an SCV with your command center as you're lifting off, and then you try to pick it up again, then they'll pick up other things. So notice these bunkers disappeared. That means the bunkers are actually inside the command center now. There's no icon for a bunker inside a command center. Yeah, so I think I got 9 Neo Steel bunkers full of Marine, +1 Marines inside this command center, and I start flying it out. Plus an SCV, right? Did I count wrong? Okay. 9 times 6, that's 54. It's an exploit, but it's not a 10 exploit. Reduces incoming damage from friendly units by... Oh, 2 friendly units by 2. Yeah, so it's basically like an extra 2 armor. Yeah, so with extra 2 armor and all these stalkers, unfortunately these... We're going to have to pull back with this command center. This is going to be too much firepower. Yeah, and there it is. Yeah, that's not too much firepower. Oh, that was fun for one day. I guess you must have a mothership or something. The other thing I did was you can put anything in the command center. Only Marines can fire out of it, or only Marines and Marauders, I guess, and Ghosts, and whatever can go in a bunker. But you can still put other things in the command center. So I sieged up siege tanks and I filled some bunkers. And then I went into my opponent's base and immediately dropped them out of the command center. So it dropped like 3 full bunkers and 4 sieged up siege tanks in his base. So like I immediately set up a defensive position. And then you can also land the command center and morph it into a planetary. Planetary drops was the thing that other people were trying out. But I discovered that Marines can actually shoot while the command center is flying, which made it like way more effective. You can put repairing SCVs to heal. Well, it wouldn't be able to heal the outer CC. You could heal an inner CC if you had a CC inside that CC. The other thing is this command center can actually pick up itself. Right? Which basically breaks the game. Because then, you can't interact with units that are inside of something else. So because it's inside of itself, you couldn't interact with it. So it disappeared. And so it's still technically there, but you couldn't see it or interact with it in any way. So I made that mistake once. There was one game where I got like 8 bunkers inside a command center, and then I accidentally had my command center pick up itself and everything was destroyed. Even though technically it wasn't destroyed, so he would never be able to win the game. Yeah, this stream was on coding SC2AI, but I've kind of hit the end of my coding session, so now we're just messing around. Yeah, my SC2 bot is playing in next Thursday, and I might be streaming this Thursday as well. Or I might be casting the ProBot stream this Thursday. If you go to ESChamp, his YouTube channel, you can see live in 17 hours we have the second half of the round of 16. So I already made it through the round of 16. I was in the first half, but now we get to see the 8 other bots play. And yeah, I wonder if we have a bracket somewhere. Gen Z Bot is an extremely powerful Terran. He's in this round of 16 tomorrow. I'll be interested in watching him. Not as powerful as Micro Machine, obviously, the bot that is impossible to kill, but he's right up there. Definitely a top 5. It was like the Terratron. Yeah, people were picking up the weirdest things. They picked up like a Ghost Academy, so when you fire a nuke, the nuke launches out of your command center. People picked up their own gas geyser, and then or picked up their own refinery, and then you could drop the refinery in a random place. So you could mine gas, but not without a gas geyser. It was completely busted. You could like recursively add more command centers too. If you fill a command center and then use another one to pick up that original command center, and then fill that one, and then you could get that picked up from another command center. Most of the bots are scripted. All the ones in the tournament are, because machine learning bots are garbage. Outside of DeepMind's Alpha Star, which is next level. But yeah, if you don't have a team of engineers and whatever Google had, I think they had like 6,000 GPUs running 24/7 to get the machine learning going. There are machine learning bots though. They're usually near the bottom of the ladder, but some use machine learning just to like pick what strategy they should use. So there's simple stuff like that, and some of those bots are in the tournament. But the ones that like play the entire game from machine learning, they're not really in there. Someone ran a stream for 19 hours about a month ago, and all he did was had a map that had just random zealots on it, and he had a Reaper, and he tried to have the Reaper learn how to fight against zealots. So there's like, with machine learning, you don't actually tell the Reaper what to do. You just give it like reward points and like punishment points. So like any damage you do would be a reward. Any kills you get would be a big reward. Dying would be a negative reward or a punishment. And then eventually, if it randomly does things, it'll figure out what gets some rewards and what doesn't. And then the ideal end goal is you got a Reaper that micros really well. Well, at the end of his 19 hours, all the Reaper learned to do was run away, because he never learned how to kill anything or do much damage, but he certainly learned how to die nonstop. So the only thing you learn to do is don't die. So after 19 hours, he just had a cowardly Reaper. Yeah, but I mean, Mad AI is in the tournament. He plays tomorrow, and he definitely uses machine learning to select strategy. So none of the micro is, it's still all scripted, the bots, but the strategy selection is all based off of machine learning. Trying to think if there's any other bots in the tournament that use any sort of machine learning. The problem is too, just getting enough practice games. Some of these bots aren't publicly downloadable, so you can't really, there's not many bots you can teach your bot to play against. And the built-in AI for that Blizzard provides is only so good. So it's hard to, even if you had the resources, it's hard to have enough good practice partners to actually teach the bot. Yeah, I mean, the nice thing about machine learning is you don't really have to code it. I mean, you do code it, but in a way the bot teaches itself rather than you telling it what to do. So in some ways it's easier. But it takes a lot of time. I think during that first AlphaStar stream, they said this AlphaStar agent had played 100,000 years of StarCraft 2. That's a lot of learning time. Definitely more practice than Cyril puts in. Anyways, I think I gotta call it the end of the stream here. Let's see if any SC2 streamers are on. I'll give them the host. There's actually also this stream. This is a 24-hour bot versus bot stream. So these are bots that are, well, speaking of Mad AI, there he is right now. There's even a bot doing the observing, which is kind of cool. Every Tuesday afternoon, some of us bot authors get on and we chat on this stream. So you can check that out if you find us. It's usually around 3 p.m. Eastern. I don't know what that is for you guys. Yeah, but 24/7 there's bot games going on. It's all sped up, but that's fine. What was I going to do? I was going to find someone to host. I assume I don't have many viewers since I'm not playing StarCraft 2. But my software is not telling me. But we'll host anyways. Browse. StarCraft. Yeah, I guess at this time of night. Let's find someone. Start from the bottom up. What about this guy? What's he doing? Hallucinated narco. Hallucinations are easy to code, and if your opponent doesn't have detection, the bot will treat it like a regular army unit. They're pretty tanky.
Let's see if he makes use of that info, because I think he's solid this time.
He's got webcam, he chats.
Good force fields, good. He's learning. Good.
And he's casting something. He's not actually playing, right? Oh no, he is. He's just commentating his opponent as he's playing. Alright, so is this guy. Buddy's toss. Yeah, that's true. Can't pick and choose at this time of night. Can't really find a mech streamer or something. Let's make it a raid. Okay, have a good night, everyone. I'm gonna hit the sack. Next stream, it'll be back to playing StarCraft 2. I'm not sure if I'll do another one of these coding streams, but it was interesting. Experiment. Have a good one, guys.